A 2 meters tall goalkeeper from the Netherlands squad, Andries Noppert, already became one of the main sensations at the World Cup kickoff. We are not joking around. The 28-year-old Goliath made his debut at the World Cup as part of one of the tournament's main favorites, the Netherlands. Besides, he's also quite an interesting person to talk about, isn't he? Who else could appear literally out of nowhere and demonstrate to the whole world how he can become one of the main heroes at Qatar 2022? Let's get to know him better. The Inside Football channel is with you. Give this guy a like, and we proceed to start. This man's biography is actually a ready-to-go script for Hollywood. Just imagine the Netherlands succeeding in the World Cup thanks to him. Such a turn of events would definitely result in one of the highest-grossing football movies of all time. Andries Noppert's participation in the competition is a truly special occasion. This is the perfect case of a 1% chance to make things through, which he took full advantage of. Long story short, until 2021, this giant goalkeeper was not constant in any of the clubs he performed for. Therefore, his stats are a bit low for a 28-year-old Netherlands main goalkeeper. Andries has only 51 appearances at the professional level, and 34 of them were made in the last 12 months. And these are not all the shocking facts. Last year, 2021, he started for the Dutch 2nd Division League side Go Ahead Eagles, and half a year before he was close to retiring and becoming a police officer. Moreover, Andries could even become a professional gymnast, as he was a champion in the sport among his peers in the Netherlands back in his childhood days. Luckily for us though, he chose the #1 game. How could a footballer with such a heartbreaking fate end up in the World Cup, you will ask? Let us explain. Our hero kick-started his football path at the Heerenveen school. Then he was transferred to NAC Breda, and many scandals arose due to Noppert's unstoppable desire for partying. Subsequently, the lad made only 10 appearances in a 3-season spell. In the winter of 2018, he was drawn to drastic changes. Italy, Serie B side Foggia. Here, Noppert was never able to approach the first team standards with only 8 games in a year and a half. Not to mention a stolen car by the local mafia, which had to be bought back. In September 2019, Andries decided to return back home, albeit to a lower league team. Noppert ended up in the 2nd tier FC Dordrecht, where he was finally counted on as a main player. But after the first 2 games, a horrific tragedy happened in the form of a meniscus injury, followed by a recovery and events of the pandemic. In the summer of 2020, he left the club on a free transfer. 26 years old, injured meniscus in the medical record, and only 13 games at the professional level. No wonder Andries' surroundings began to drop hints like, "Shouldn't you find yourself another activity?" That's how the police officer option came about. However, Noppert decided not to give up. "I've decided to fight to the last. And it's good that I listened to myself back then." Our hero recalled the most difficult period in his life. In January 2021, a contract was penned with Go Ahead Eagles. He sat on the bench for a whole year, until the fateful chance in January 2022, when the main #1 Werner Harn not only failed the match against RKC Waalwijk, but also quarreled with the head coach. Throughout 6 months, Noppert started in 15 games, keeping only 3 clean sheets. But his efforts were enough for an invitation to the more prestigious Heerenveen in July this year. One may think, as the circle has closed, the man once again found himself in the club from which he graduated to adult football. At the time of his return, Andries was noticed by the Netherlands goalkeeping coach, Frans Hoek, whom Louis van Gaal trusts a lot. Noppert was called up for the Nations League in September. He did not play a single minute though, and then for the World Cup. As an argument, the Flying Dutchman's coaching staff cites good form. Heerenveen goalkeeper is in the top 2 in terms of clean sheets at Eredivisie this season. All in all, it was Noppert who impressed Van Gaal more than others in training, eventually becoming the current main goalkeeper of the national team. That's how he got a place in his national team at the World Cup. Unbelievable scenario, don't you agree? And then, it was time for the match itself. where we have seen several brilliant saves and a clean sheet. The world media and fans from all over the world were amazed by the debut of the 28-year-old no-name, who very soon could become a big star. A risk to play Noppert? I started Van der Sar when he was 19. Van Gaal spoke confidently about his #1 goalkeeper after a dry 2-0 victory over Senegal. Making my debut at the World Cup, it's special. I think there is only one manager who can make something like that happen. And these were the words of our today's hero in the post-match interview. Of course, one of the most popular questions from fans after the clash was revolving around the height of this giant. Let's get into it. As you might have been able to tell, Noppert is tall. Pretty damn tall. He wouldn't look out of place between the ropes of a WWE ring, which says a lot. That's because he stands at an outstanding 2.03 meters or 6 feet 8, making him the tallest player at the 2022 World Cup. Andries has a very humble opinion about himself. I always say, weeds don't die. They can put you under the ground 10 times, but then you have to make sure you get up 11 times. Indeed, this quote perfectly fits his incredible career, no doubt about that. Folks, give this video a like if you have found it interesting. Subscribe, because we will surely have more topics to discuss in the future. It was Inside Football. We watch football from a different angle. Have a nice one, and see you in a bit.